Okay, so here we are again, down another test route. This is again South Birmingham. Different day, different route, different things. So we're going to start moving in a moment. Just doing all the checks, turning the car on. You notice I'm moving off from the wrong side of the road. If there is a vehicle parked ahead there, the examiners will always, well, they should always help you to see, because you can't see anything. So they'll tell you what's coming down that road. Right, so we're driving down here, and as with one of the other videos I've done, we'll soon be doing the independent driving. So this is just a normal pull over again, just pull over somewhere safe, and then we'll move off again in a moment. And then it's going to be left at the end of the road. And then once I've turned left, the examiner is going to pull me over, and they'll say we're now going to do the independent part of the test, and then that's what you'll do. So at this point they will get the diagrams out, and they would say to you on this particular one, end of the road left, roundabout right, fourth exit, then both mini roundabouts follow ahead. Okay, so I'll say that one more time, then I'll be quiet and see if you can follow those. End of the road left, roundabout right, fourth exit, both mini roundabouts ahead. So that's the end of the independent driving, and then you just carry on driving as normal. Some of those independent drivings are longer than others, as I said in the other video. You can get up to 4 directions, like that one was 4. You won't ever get more than 4. Some of the diagrams are really confusing, but they're not that bad, so don't worry about that. You can't really practice that too much on lessons, it's just a case of remembering things. So that's one way it can be done. The other way, in a moment, we'll be doing a different kind of independent driving. But before that, we're going to take the next road on the right. This video I'm not going to say as much as the other one, just so you get more of a feel of what it's like to be on the test rather than have me talking all the time. We're going to pull up on the left somewhere safe. And then we'll carry on when it's safe. And then we're going to pull up again somewhere safe on the left. Just around the bend we'll do, just before the red van. If ever you're asked to pull over just before a vehicle like this, it probably means you're going to do the parallel parking. So they'll now ask you, can you pull up alongside the van and then parallel park, and they'll say to you, try and keep parallel to the curb, reasonably close to the van when you finish. You can be up to 2 car lengths back from the van, so the distance from the van is not that bad. This may be different in other areas, but in Birmingham I've never, apart from once, had one who had to park between 2 vehicles. You don't normally do it between 2 vehicles. If it is, it will be a very large gap. The reason being, it will simply be too dangerous. If they do that every day, sooner or later someone is going to start hitting parked cars. So you'll see how far back I am deliberately from that van. You can't be that far back and still pass. Now of course the point is, in real life you would have to be closer than that, but you can always work that out on lessons. For the sake of your test, I recommend don't get too close. If you do get too close, they have to warn you, by which time you failed. Okay, so we're going to pull up again in a moment, and the examiner is now going to give me the second set of independent directions. In fact, I won't pull over now, but this is just that we'll pull over there and they'll say to you, follow these directions. So right at the end of the road, ahead on the mini roundabout, left on the roundabout by McDonald's. And they will give you some geographical directions, like left at by McDonald's. They could also say to you, follow the signs for Redditch. There's a place called Redditch just to the left of the roundabout. The sign is in a very awkward place, so they would say to you, the sign is on the roundabout because it's quite unusual where it is. It's not where you'd normally expect it to be. So let's watch this. Now again, at this point, if you've forgotten where you're going, just say to them, where are we going? I forgot. That doesn't matter. Don't just keep quiet and hope for the best. That won't work. Just say to them, I forgot where we're going. They'll tell you. It doesn't matter. You don't get marked down if you do that, so it's okay. Well then, so that's the end of the independent driving again. So back to normal directions and driving around. Sometimes you'll be given directions that are not part of the independent driving, but they will say things that are similar. Like for example, on this next roundabout, they'll say follow the road ahead towards Redditch. So you don't have to follow the sign. They have told you where it is, and they'll tell you the exit number as well. But they are trying to help by saying follow that particular way. You notice this roundabout I do quite quickly because on the day that I filmed this, it was so quiet, there's no one around. Normally this road will be much busier, but this is what your instructors should be showing you, which is called positive driving. You notice I come up to it, I'm looking, no one around, I go. If you slow down when you shouldn't, that is the number one thing people fail on. It's just slowing right down, stopping. Why did you stop? There's no one there. Going too fast or too slow is the number one thing people mess up on. A lot of my pupils will know I often talk about the rhythm of driving, and that is what you must get, the rhythm. It should flow. It should be sort of up, down, not stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. That's no good. So yeah, that's something to watch out for. If you're being taught to stop all the time, it's bad. That's poor teaching. It's a lot easier to teach people that. You simply tell them to stop all the time, then go. That will not get you anywhere in real life. You just watch people driving. They don't stop and go. You slow down, you give way, but you don't stop. There's a big difference between giving way and stopping, which I'll explain more if I need to. So back now, I'm not going to say too much, just directions as the examiner will give you for the next few minutes. So the examiner will now say take the next road on the left. And then can you take the next road on the right? Quite a tricky one, this one. A lot of people mess this up. Just have a look at it and see why. So how did you know that was the correct one to go into? Well, there was one line across the floor. So again, one line to where you go in, 2 lines where you come out. You may notice there as well, when you went in, there was immediately a giveaway line on the floor. I don't know if you'll have seen it on the video. Again, it's quite a dark time of year, it's winter, so the video quality is not as good as it could be. But there were 2 lines on the floor. To be fair, even in real life, you can't see them that well because they're quite faded. So when you enter that road, you might want to play this back and watch it again. You have to enter the road. You notice I look to the left as I enter the road. A lot of people there go in. They don't look left, they just keep going around to the right, and you fail, because if you haven't looked to the giveaway line, you would have failed. And then we'll take the next road on the left. Then at the end of the road, we'll go right. So the same kind of thing applies here as I mentioned just now. When you get to these white lines, you should roll up, have a look, and whenever possible, just go. A lot of people there just stop and then go, which is not the best thing to do because you shouldn't be stopping again all the time. Give way means give way, not stop. So we pull over again, and now we're just going to carry on driving, and at the end of the road we'll go right. And again, another example here, in case you wonder, all the test routes are planned. They're not just random routes, there are certain things they must see. So those last few turns are quite tricky. There's often, nearly always a learner parking there to watch out for. This road is horrible, you can't always see this on the video, but if you look to your left, there is a really, really bad blind bend. So you notice how I creep, look, and then go. What I also did there is I put the window down, so you can hear cars coming. That's a big tip. If you get to a big back junction, put the window down, listen for cars coming, because you'll often hear them before you can see them. And then we're going to go next road on the left. This is roughly about 2/3 of the way into the test. So again, you might be surprised, they're not that long. A lot of people seem to think the tests are an hour long. They're not an hour, they're about normally 25 to 35 minutes roughly. Does depend where you are. If you do tests in London, it can take a long time because of traffic. Some of them have had people do them in Scotland. 20 minutes have been done because there's no traffic around. 20 minutes past. It depends. There's no fixed time. It doesn't have to be a length of time. It's more a fixed kind of route in the way that they do. So we're going left on this road. I'm going to follow this road ahead for quite some way. And a bit of a test for you now. There's a sign coming up in a moment. Just see if you can tell what this sign is. And you should know this if you're watching these videos. If you come to a few tests, you should know this easily. But there is a sign on the right hand side coming up just about now somewhere. Okay, so what does that sign mean? Well, national speed. So on this road, single lane, national speed, 60 miles an hour for the car that I'm in. It's different for different vehicles. That's why it's national, not just 60. You notice how I picked up quite quickly. That's what you do if there's no one around. There was someone behind me, but they're okay, they don't mind. You mustn't go too slow on fast roads. One of the big thing people fail on is they simply drive too slow. They think, oh, I'll go really slow, I'll be nice and careful, I'll show I'm being careful. You won't pass, you'll be failed. You must drive to the appropriate speeds. That is until you catch up with someone in front who's going a bit slow, and then you have to slow down. But again, this is good, I'm keeping my distance. We're now going to take the second road on the right. There's a sign around the corner, a lamppost with loads of signs on. There's about 3 or 4 signs. It's just down the road from there. That's what the examiner will be saying to you, because this one is not the most obvious turn. It's thankfully where the car ahead is going, so you can follow them. That makes it easier. So on this road we've turned right. There are no signs. So what's the speed? Well, the answer is it will still be 60, still be national. How else would you know that it's still national? What's missing on this road? Well, the answer is no lamppost. So no lamppost normally means national speed. That doesn't always work. There are exceptions, like if the lampposts are not, if they're not too far apart. Again, your instructor will go over this with you. But basically, if there are no lampposts, it's almost always a national speed limit. If it wasn't, then there will be little repeater signs. And if you don't know what repeaters are, ask your instructor about that. So again, notice how the speed at the top of the screen is quite high. I'm doing about 42. Now that speedo is a little bit different to what the car's one says. So the car one will be saying about 50 at the moment. That one's slightly different because all speedos are slightly different. Now again, the end of the road, the examiner's not going to speak. And let's just see what you would do. Okay, so did you notice something there? Well, I won't say any more, but you might have noticed something there. So we're going to carry on driving now. Did you notice as well that national speed sign on the left? Some of them are quite hidden away, that one's not too bad. But any signs that are really hidden away, the examiners will normally tell you. There's one down here, for example, where it's about a mile away from here, but there actually isn't a speed sign. There should be a 30 sign, and it went years ago, just fell off or something. So the examiners will then say, it's back down to 30, just to give you a bit of help. And then at this point we're going to take the next road on the left. This is quite a long way away. It's about another 20-30 seconds of driving. Sometimes they will tell you directions really early so you can plan ahead. And again, there's not long left on the test now, about another 5 minutes to go. So here you'll notice I'm on a slip road, accelerating again quite quickly just to join the main road. They won't say anything about it, so they won't say, you know, you're joining the road, because there's no need to say that. They'll just keep quiet throughout all of this. You just join the road. Just like that. Notice I left you quite late, you don't join on the double lines, on the single line. So you keep in the slip road as long as you possibly can. That makes it easier for you to join. Next roundabout we're going to go straight ahead to second exit. This is Beckett's Farm, which a lot of people who learn with me will hate. But again, there is a method for doing these roundabouts. If you haven't been taught gyratory roundabouts, make sure you get taught them. It's something a lot of instructors miss out because they can't be bothered to do it. It takes hours and hours and hours to explain how to do these. For example, on this one you'll notice with the van something bad is going to happen. Notice now the van is signalling right, they're in the wrong lane. That's the only reason I pass them on the left. There's people here blasting the horns you can't hear on this, but I knew he was going to go that way. Normally you would never pass on the left, that's bad. But if I hadn't have passed on the left, then the car that was close behind me would have hit me. So you kind of been stuck on that one. So again, now you know you're going back to the test centre. This is when people start getting nervous, because you know you're going back, you know the result's going to be given to you soon. And again, in a moment I'll be revealing the results of this test. So when the car pulls up outside the centre, if you don't want to know the results, if you want to watch the video again and maybe see if it's good or bad, then play it back. That little white car in the lay-by has been there for months. I think someone's left it there. It's just been abandoned. And at this point the exam will say at the end of the road, on the roundabout, go right, fourth exit. The roundabout's not coming up just yet, but that allows you to plan ahead for any overtaking or anything like that that you might need to do. So the last few moments now I'm going to keep quiet, just try and give you the idea what it's like when you're coming back to the test centre at the end of your test. Okay, so end of the road, right, fourth exit. Feel free, by the way, to ignore the examiners. Sometimes what they'll do, either deliberately or not deliberately, is when you're just about to do a major junction like that, they'll start talking to you. If you don't want to answer them, just don't answer them, because sometimes they don't want you to fail, but sometimes they will sort of distract you without realising they're doing it. So then we're going to go second road on the left. And then again we want the second road on the left, and that will then be the end of the test. So if you don't want to know the results, stop the video as soon as the car pulls over in a moment, watch it back again. Do you think that would be a pass? Would it be a fail? Just see what you think. Okay, so here we go. And the examiner would ask you to pull over on the left somewhere safe. So we're going to pull over just around here. And that's the end of the test. And the result of the test is, I'm sorry to say that you haven't passed on this occasion. So why didn't the people pass? If you haven't noticed, watch the video back. There were several things I was doing again and again which were constantly wrong. The reason I did this was to show you how even when you drive quite well, the car didn't stall, I wasn't speeding, I wasn't going too slow, you can still fail. So I'm going to tell you now why the people failed. You might notice on many occasions I just didn't even look in the mirrors. Very often I pulled over and I didn't look at all. Then when I moved off, I didn't do the blind spot, I didn't look over my shoulder, I just pulled away, didn't even check it. I think there was only one or two occasions when I did. Now obviously the only reason I did that was because I was being careful when I filmed the video, I wasn't being reckless, but that's what the people would have failed on. The turns as well, you notice whenever I turn left, I didn't do the mirrors. I might do the middle one, but I didn't do the side mirror. There's one other thing on that video that I would have failed on, and there was a slight clue in the video, so watch it back, see what you think it would have been. It's not maybe that obvious from the video, but there is something that a lot of people fail on. The answer will be given either in another video or I might put it on the website, I don't know, but that would be an unsuccessful test. So yeah, I'll see you on the next video.